So we were talking about how freaking it is in here. We didn't even hear names being called.
Well, welcome back. It's so nice to have you. That's Smallville panel.
I tell you, I was here last year. I'll tell you.
What?
Last year was fun, but you know what was missing?
Erica.
Yes.
So here we are this year. We made it happen.
Thank you for being here. Last time you stopped. I was working very hard at the stop. Thank you.
Well, let's can we come to some questions? I got some for you. They got some for you. So, Eric, you're known as obviously playing Lois Lane in Smallville. How did portraying such a strong, independent character influence your career and your personal perspective?
Did you just come up with that off the top of your head? That was very
Decide.
Well, I would definitely say that it allowed me to play other parts that had a level of independence, and so there was a lot more opportunity. When I went to the doctor's show, I was able to kind of stay in the course of being that lady that kind of was sassy and spoke her mind and that sort of thing. And I'm not sure about influencing my personal life. I mean, I'm getting tougher and tougher as the years go by. My bullshit meter is like very, very low or high. What's the other? I cut people out real fast.
We just had Eric on the podcast and we asked a similar question. And one of the things that I came to was guts. Like, she really brought guts to the character. We hadn't had a character like that on the show. And the fun thing for Clark, to make this about me, is that we got to see Clark kind of be funny. And the banter went earlier. So, we didn't have that with Lana. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But I got to ask you, you mentioned also about playing with Dr. Alex Reed. What attracted you to a medical drama?
Well, I'm kind of curious.
Your love of dialogue?
My love of dialogue. I really liked the original concept, which it still had medical jargon and all that kind of stuff. But when I was a lot younger, I had this idea that potentially one day I could be a doctor. Not true. Although I kind of think I am one now after 5 years. And then I liked the twist in the show where there's a little bit of the supernatural realm, and so I thought that was really fun. And it was a challenge. I liked it.
So if we were on an airplane and someone had a medical issue and they said, "Is there a doctor on it?" Would you stand up?
I would wait.
If no one else did it.
Really bad. I'd be like, I know how to do the tracheotomy with a straw. I know how to cut people open. I know where the organs are. I can sew you up. I don't know if I can really fix what's inside, but I can definitely suture you back up.
Stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I got to shift gears a little bit. We got to talk about Lucifer. Your work on Lucifer. How did you prepare this character, Kane and Marcus
Pierce.
Marcus Pierce, thank you.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, oh, that's right. All of them. You're right. How did that happen? How much fun was it? And
It was a lot of fun, and I get a lot of people at the cons who really like that show. I mean, Tom Ellison did such a great job creating the energy for that character that then lit on everybody else. Oh, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes, it
Can you hear me
is.
now?
That's better.
Wait a second. Dude, I know that jacket is way too hot to be wearing right now. You can take it off. I won't be offended.
More than for yes.
Now.
Because he's a
My
psycho.
goodness, I know those things are hot. But that was fun because I knew the show. I actually knew Lauren German from another friend already, so I knew it was going to be a fun set. And I knew he was going to be the opposite of Clark, where he's a lot different than Clark. And I tried to take a little bit from Michael's Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor was always asking why, and sort of one step ahead of everybody and using everybody's chess pieces, where Clark was always asking kind of like, what? And not knowing what was going on. And so that was the duality that I kind of tapped into.
Well, I want to back up a little bit more on Smallville. What was the audition? We had a lot of pressure. Clark Kent auditioned for that, and that had to be heavy.
I bet it was worse for Erica.
Yes! I wasn't even you, and I bet it was.
Well, I had to go up against this guy, I don't know, some of you may know who he is, Jensen Ackles. And I walk into the audition room and he's sitting there and I'm like, well, that's a handsome fellow.
Or just dog meat.
Well, well, he looked like an actor, like the people you see on TV and stuff. And nope, sorry Jensen, he was slumming out on 15 years of another show all by himself with Jared. But it was very quick for me because I didn't initially go in because they didn't have a lot of information. There were other things going on at the time. But when I went in, I did the one audition, they brought me back the next day, and they called me on the way home.
Did you do Kristen?
What's that?
Did you do a chemistry with Kristen?
The first audition I had, you guys are so helpful. Oh, this is going to be a neat one. Is this one not working?
We're good.
So anyway, what happened was, yeah, it happened pretty quick. And Kristen actually saved me because in one of the first initial auditions, I forgot what my next line was, and her back was to you guys. We were on stage, kind of, and she mouthed the word to me at the beginning of my line, and it triggered, and so I went on. And at the end, Peter Roth, who you know was the head of the network at the time, he came up afterwards and he was, oh my God, because they already had Kristen, so they were looking for somebody to work with Kristen. And he came up and gave me a hug and said, that pause you took. Nobody, you found that moment. And I was like, found that moment. But that's the great thing about when you form these relationships and you work with people. It's a very trusting environment where you can really bond and help people and elevate the material. So yeah, so that was my longer. There's a longer version of that, but let's keep it tight. It's too hot.
So what do you think makes this show so successful and so lasting? I mean, yeah, it's a Superman story, but it definitely has a different take on it. What do you think has just kept people in generations just keep watching this show?
It's good. It was your show. I would say it lasted a really long time because it started as an origin show, so you had somewhere to go, and it was unique in that, right? And a lot of the Superman stuff, he's already Superman, and so you got to watch him find himself. And people really loved that aspect of the kind of the. I know he was a superhero. I know he had all these extra powers. But they saw vulnerability, they saw moments where he didn't know what to do, how to find it, that he wasn't always ready to be that hero. And then I think people extrapolate that into their lives and go, hey, that happens to me. That's me not playing Clark answering the question for your show.
No, it's about identity. Like, what we also didn't have, we didn't have any lazy people around. Like every actor, everybody was always trying to make it better. That's always what we did. Even when it was like a scene that you really had trouble putting your attention into, or you didn't think it was worth it. James Marsden told me one time, he goes, "There's only one way home, and it's through this scene." You know what I mean? Like, make it good. And I think we had a lot of that going for us. I think with Eric coming in halfway through the show, not halfway, but that brought a whole other level to the show, because it's really 2 shows. At the 4 or 5 year mark, it kind of turns into something else. Like they could have called it Metropolis or something, but I just think, some people say they're upset that it's over, and I know shows that I like, and I never want them to end for any reason, but like Clark had to move on. Like it was time. But I think we had the gift going into season 10 knowing that it was the last one. It wasn't a surprise. Some other people on shows show up to work and they get canceled halfway through the day. And now you have nothing planned, your family's out of whack, you're traveling, it's not fun. So, I just think we had a lot of people who tried to make it good the whole time. Yeah.
You were also in Supergirl, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was.
What was it like stepping into that whole universe? And
Well, I mean, I got a call from my girlfriend, and she said, "Oh, do you want to fill in and play Allura, because we've lost our Allura?" And I happened to have just had my kid when I was in town, and I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so went back there, and I found it really surreal. I loved to be part of the mythology. Obviously, I was on a different side of it, so I had powers, and I had to try to create this character through me that was quite elegant and austere, and
How much time did you have? Like 2 days?
2 days, and I had to like watch all this stuff and try to fill in all the pieces. But it was bizarre because it would be similar sets that I was used to being on with Smallville, but obviously a whole other cast. So everybody was really nice, though. It was a good vibe, and it was neat to have the superpowers.
They don't suck.
So I got to ask you, you've done writing, directing. What's it like being on the other side of the camera?
I really enjoy it. There's something that I found, especially, I like the process of how things get done. And one of the things that I say when you're an actor, you're almost told at the beginning that you're not allowed to enjoy yourself. You have to enjoy the process. What that means is you're never allowed to really feel like you did it right, because there's no such thing as right and wrong. So it's you know what I'm talking about? So it's like sometimes you do a great take and you feel a good vibe and you're like, yeah, but we missed this one. So you never get the satisfaction that I get from being behind the camera and directing, when you can give an actor a note and they take it and it becomes magic. It's literally magic. And then as the director, you can actually say, we can move on. Let's move forward. As an actor, I don't know if you have this, but like, you could be in the shower 2 days later and all of a sudden you go, oh, that's how I should have done it. Even when you're not thinking about it. And it's just, it's a different language, it's a different brain in some ways, but having learned some acting on Smallville, when I started directing on it and having the shorthand that I had with the cast and crew, I think it helped move things and create things that were, I don't know, lasting. I'm very proud of it since I directed, for sure.
And also, you've done some directing on Saving Hope, a little bit behind the camera on that?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I liked telling the story from the point of view of the camera and learning all the different ways in which you can shape something. Being in a leadership role where you can help people when you see it all, this fire I have to put out, that fire I have to put out, that person, especially having been an actress, like I can look and see, if somebody's really uncomfortable, like I can help them in this way. So for me, it was, I love that aspect, and there's so much more versatility, there's many, many more jobs that you can get in that world once you get into that world, which can be tricky, but I think it's a really good education to help you understand how it all works, and then you put yourself back in there as an actor and you're like, oh, I get all these pieces, I know why they need these things.
Right, you can explain to people like why you're asking them to do things because of that. Did you have any days when you directed that you weren't acting?
I had a few.
Mark was the best.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to come in as early.
Yeah.
You don't get bugged with the hair and makeup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just really focus on the actors, and it's very rewarding. Right?
Some people said to me as well, they said, you know, and it's true, with directing, you're not usually paid as well unless you really paved your way with yourself. And it's very, very difficult, and it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. But the work that is required in that capacity, I think that I enjoy because I come from a different space. So it's much more analytical, it's all those kinds of things. I don't have to invest anything really emotionally into the experience. So it allows me to have a little bit of a I don't know, departure from it. So I actually quite enjoyed it. There was something actually easier for me in that experience than the other.
You could direct.
Yeah.
She is from another place. She's not even sweating, and I'm up here. Like,
How you feeling?
you stuff your jacket on. It's making me hot. It's making me even hotter. I can't look at you anymore.
So we're going to get some questions from the audience, but I have a question for you, Tom. What's new? Anything exciting on the horizon?
Well, yes. Thank you. And guys, nobody knows this, and we decided to say it here at Still City. The new movie coming out October 11th called Disavowed. We shot it before COVID. It takes place in Rome, and the trailer's going to come out soon. But I'm using this platform to let you guys in on it. Nobody else knows about it, really. So, don't tell anybody. Okay.
Any background on it, or are you going to stick with questions?
It's about a guy doing bad things for a good reason in the underbelly of Rome.
Nice setting.
Does that sound okay?
Well, it is Rome.
It is Rome.
So we're in Rome.
Yeah.
What brought you to shoot there, though?
Oh, it was beautiful. We went to all the most beautiful places. Some places in Rome that I hadn't seen before. It was absolutely incredible because at any point if any second of downtime, you just go, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? It's just in a beautiful place. So that was, Scott Winhauser directed it. He's a buddy of mine now. We're super excited. So we're going to push out more information for you guys later so you can find it. But please check it out.
Great. Just one more question about it. Was the film exclusively in the Rome area, or did you get to go around Italy much?
Downtown Rome. Yeah, right on the cobblestones.
All right, let's get to your questions. And congratulations. Round of applause for that. Thanks for sharing that with us. Every now and then, we're going to have a fun show here. We're going to start with questions on this side a little bit. Alicia, just raise your hand. We'll come around and get your question.
Yes, this question is for Tom. Has anyone ever come up to you at any Comic-Con or fan convention and actually told you that they think you're better than Christopher Reeve? Because for a lot of people, Christopher Reeve is the ultimate Superman, but everyone has different opinions. Has anyone ever come up to you and say that they think you're better? Your portrayal of Superman was better than Christopher Reeve?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have two answers for that. One is, that's how I think of when people say Superman. It still is, even now. Because in some ways, and I know that I get some slack for this, I kind of feel like I played Clark Kent, not so much Superman. But what people, no one's ever said it that way. What they say is, you were my Superman. And I think that's, if that makes any sense, I know it's just semantics. But, yeah, and then the other one I get is, my mom loved you as Superman. That's happening more and more. So that answers your question, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from this side of the room? Right there.
So that actually kind of ties into what I was going to say. I grew up with Christopher Reeve, Superman, and Margaret Kidder. Erica, your first episode, Margaret Kidder was on that episode. Did you get a chance to meet her? Did you guys talk at all? And Tom, when you worked with Christopher Reeve, were you nervous?
That was two questions.
It's tough to remember it all, isn't it? At that stage. I didn't meet her at that time. I met her at a con, and I've told this story before, but I had just gotten the part, and I was at one of these cons, and then somebody grabbed me from behind and put their hands over my eyes and said, honey, you hit it out of the ballpark.
She said that with her hand?
Yeah, she goes, honey, you hit it out of the ballpark. And I'm like, who the hell is this person? I turned around, it was Margaret Kidder. And I was like, that's all I need. Forever.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, when I was working with Chris, he said to me at the end, we were done, we were doing the PSA First Foundation, and he asked me to, get done, and he said, I'm really happy they chose you to be the next Superman. And I said, well, they didn't, because Brandon Routh was doing the movies. And he goes, well, they should have. And I always remember that feeling really good. I mean, it was just, he was so funny and so great, and please take this the right way. Given his condition, he didn't let you feel sorry for him, if that makes any sense. He just had such a great energy, and yeah, they had to take him away. He wouldn't leave set. He wanted to stay there. He was there for like 4 hours longer than his medical staff wanted him to be. And finally, they were like, we're taking you, we're calling the cops. Yeah. And he goes, there they go, telling me what to do again. So he was great. Yeah.
Question right down. I'll get this one.
This is for both of you. Erica, what is your dumbest memory of Tom? And Tom, what's your dumbest memory of Erica?
You don't like to use that word in my house.
Embarrassing.
You were always
So many dumb.
No, you were never. No.
Not because intellectually, but I do a lot of strange things, I suppose. I find it easier to think of my weird things than yours. I mean, I just remember it being just, in some ways, in the most beautiful way, and I love that about you, just basic. Like, you went in, you did what you had to do. If you didn't get your sandwich, like not that somebody had to get it, but you just wanted to eat a sandwich, you wanted to learn your lines.
I was
and
there,
your job.
we're here to do this.
Yeah.
Let's not distract from this. But like, I never saw you do anything dumb. I mean, listen, we all get excited and we mess things up. But this is something so in the beginning of Smallville, we used to do blooper reels. And I remember the first DVD came out, the blooper reels are on it. And it drove me crazy. It really made me upset. And the reason is, when you're on set, it should be I want it to be a safe environment for the actors to fail. Now, if you're capturing these moments and then putting them on a DVD and selling them, I just didn't think it was fair. In fact, even when we had people to come take pictures on set to the studio, they weren't allowed to take pictures during rehearsals. They could take pictures while we were filming, and apparently somebody told me once, you know that's the opposite of how everybody else does it? Usually when they're filming, they don't want the camera walking around taking pictures. But for some reason, I wanted to make it safe for the actors to fail. Because if you notice on the blooper reels, the actor messes up and then they always have to do this, oh, I messed up thing. And that's them, now they're out of the moment, they're out of the whole thing. So I never really saw, because we were all there to work, nothing would fall under like stupid for the there were mistakes being made. But everybody's like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to, you want it this way, okay, I'll adjust. You know what I mean?
I think what I'll share about
playful but not goofy.
like I think one of the things in the dynamic working with Tom that I haven't had with many other people is that he got my version of strange, and he was okay with it. And I'm pretty quirky, especially when I'm working. There's a level of neuroses that I have, not as much when I'm old, now that I'm older because I'm so tired. But I just let it go. But you could see the moments where I would get wound up and like be upset about something or be a little off. And I never felt like I had to take care of you as the other actor.
You always had more to do. You always had more talking, more movement, more everything. And I was sort of a calm, sort of around the storm. And I don't know exactly how it went, but I remember at one point they started writing your dialogue for Lois with all these spaces and dots and ums and ahs. And I remember you saying to me, like, I don't know why they're doing this and starting this because you were trying to match them all. And I don't know if it was your idea or my idea, but somebody spoke to them and said, I think it was you. You're like, guys, can you not put all these in? I'll mess it up myself enough. You don't have to put in the mess up parts. Yeah. And the writers were like, oh, okay, we're trying to adjust to you. And that was another thing about communication is a friend of mine now, he's an actor, he's supposed to be a writer, he's sitting in these writer rooms. And I asked him, I said, what's the biggest thing you've learned sitting in the writer room? He goes, the writers want dialogue with the actors. And so much the actor's afraid of the writer because they'll mess it up, they don't want to insult. And he goes, every writer wants to hear from the actor they're writing for. Because it's like, we're on a team. And I thought that was very reassuring. I was like, I wish somebody would say that to me 20 years ago. Because you feel like you're messing up or you're not living up to the words. And I think that's how you learn and you grow by listening to panels like this.
We have a question right down here, and over here, and over there, and over here, and right there, and over there.
Okay, this is for Erica. Given that the star of Smallville podcast, Michael Rosenbaum, has stated that he's not interested in doing the podcast for my favorite seasons, 8 through 10, would you be willing to be Tom's partner for those seasons and take over for him?
Michael would love that.
So we can actually get the details and stories that we as Lois fans are truly interested in.
Woo! That's a good idea. We just had Erica on, it isn't out yet, but I think it was like a week and a half ago, and that was a good time. One of our better ones, we ended up talking twice as long as we all thought we would. Well, we can talk to you forever. But that's not a bad idea because Michael, he's definitely...
His attention span is that of a gnat. So yeah, maybe I'll have to do it.
We just did an episode called Blacksmith, which I think is probably one of the top 5 episodes we ever did. And that's with the pilot already in there and transference to me. So that's probably 3 other ones. Blacksmith would be one. It was so good. I actually watched it twice, and Michael wanted to do two podcasts in a row that day. And I was like, hey buddy, this episode is so good. Lex needs time for us to focus on this. And he goes, okay, man. So we spent a lot of time on Lexmas when it comes out to Blizzard. It's fun.
There's a question way in the back. Let's get that one. Nice and loud.
Hi, this question is for Erica. So when you were getting ready to do Lois, how did you prepare for the role when there's been so many amazing actresses that have done Lois Lane? How did you personally bring yourself to the character?
That's a fun question. I had to process. It's also super hot in here, so our brains don't just really slow it down.
So you didn't like do a deep dive on everything.
I didn't, because there wasn't a lot of time. So I got the part on Friday and I was working on a Monday, and as
Erica only gets to work with 2 days notice. It's like everything you get to. By the way, me too, but like everything we talk about, you're like, I have 2 days to get ready for it. Wow.
Yeah, so much of it happened on the fly. It happened with the creators and what they wanted, and they were so hands-on about how they wanted to craft the character that it very much helped me. And of course, my scenes and everything that was happening was informing how I did something. But I think at the end of the day, I was particularly lucky that my brand of whatever I did ended up really working. Originally, it was 4 episodes, and then they liked it and it clicked. And I just remember wanting her to embody as much of the Lois mythology as I knew at that point, but also knowing I had the freedom that she started earlier. This is her when she's younger and finding herself. But I tried to give myself the grace of that. And then I just was so excited to be there. It was so fun. And so there is part of me with respect to mythology that kind of just put aside what it was that I was doing and just went and had a good time with the people I was working with. And it ended up working out.
Well, they really believed in you. I mean, I remember we were on our hiatus, and they called and they needed me to come back. I think it was 2 days early, because they cast your character, and they wanted me to like read
We argue about this all the time.
Yeah, and I was like,
if you didn't like me, I would have been fired. I didn't know that.
yeah, but I also was like, first of all, I'm not coming back early because I don't have any time in my life.
Remember I ran into you when I came out of the bathroom?
Yeah, and I was like,
oh,
yeah, and I was like, she's perfect. Why did I have to come back early? But I said to her, you already cast her. I'm not a producer at the time. What am I going to do? Well, what chemistry? I'm like, it's called acting.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
It's found there, I don't know.
But I know that Beeman, all those guys, they already knew you had it, whatever they saw in it. And I know when I remember leaving after meeting you, and I don't know if we read some season, I was like, that's a waste of time. Because it was great. We didn't need to do it. You know what I mean? Like, waste of time.
Got time for 2 more questions. We have one right here.
Hi, this question is for Tom. I was wondering what your reaction was when you first got the script for your scene with John Pryor, and you found out it's like, oh yeah, that's not a problem anymore since I gave up my powers. Like, what was your reaction to
That was
that?
one of the easiest lines I've ever said on camera. Because he's not, he's a great guy. I hung out with him that morning a little bit working, and I'm a fan of his already, and I tried to just be cool. But it was just easy because it's just easy to believe he wasn't Lex Luthor in my brain and in Clark's alternate version brain as well. But when they a couple times I've been asked to sort of like play Clark in different shows, and it just didn't feel right. Either the tone was a little different, or I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And when a good friend of mine reached out and he goes, just read it. It's one scene. Just promise me you're gonna read it. And I read it and I was like, this is good. You know what I mean? I just was like, if I was a fan, I'd want to see this, and I think it's a cool way to kind of come back and do something for fans and do something, because it's not Clark, it's a different version of Clark, and all these other answers to questions I don't know. But it was fun, and then with Erica being there, I was icing on the cake, and you wonder what their kids look like. It's just really. It opens up the mind of like what could be, and it allows the audience to have an imagination about their version as well, which is always fun when I watch things. So yeah, thanks.
Well, we got time for one more question. First off, thank you for sharing your blockbuster news with us.
Thank you.
Erica, thank you so much for making us here with us. You know you're headed back to your table. So if we have time for a question, or
I'm gonna go a fan And then I'll be back in my table.
Okay, great. One last question.
Hi, my question is for Tom. Did they tell you ahead of time that Lois was coming, or did you find out when you got the season 4 script?
I knew that
Lois had 5 It's hot.
they didn't. I'm gonna pass it out. Actually, originally for the crossover, they didn't share that you would be there, but I found out 2 days before. So I found out 2 days before. But what even a better way, because it was funny going back to the Kent barn, because the crew there was shooting a TV show called Batgirl, which didn't go anywhere. But that crew had not shot at the barn before, and they didn't know where to like put things and cameras. And I was kind of like the guest on the set and didn't want to really say anything, but I'm like, you know, that we kind of saw that a lot. Like that's very iconic. And I was sort of like hinting at how to direct the scene, and so that was fun. But no, I had no idea that they were bringing Lois on the show until they told me I had to come back to work early. Yeah.
I remember I pulled up and you were in Crafty and we just saw each other. It was like just yesterday. It had been like a decade before we'd seen each other. It was very cool. It was a nice thought.
Yeah,
right?
It's just great how I mean, listen, we've all been a part of different casts. And like, I love seeing the Lucifer cast. Like, we're all buddies and stuff. But they have their sort of inside way of how they all vibe because they were together so long in that thing. And like, oh yeah, Tom, cool, you visited for a while and whatnot. But the Smallville cast has that too. It's just so easy to see each other because we all know that we have each other's backs. And that we're gonna have fun, but you know, it's been proven that we support each other. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, guys. Before I bring up everyone, come back to the table where it's nice and cool. Thank you guys so much. Camera panel. Excellent job, everybody. Coming up in about 20 minutes.
It's not good. The table is in my way.
Good job, everyone.
I moved all the way up to the front and the table is like here. It looks like their heads are on the table.